Chapter 20. The Emperor rolls up his sleeve, showing the wounds on his arm. The blonde reacts instantly. She squats down and lifts his pant leg, looking down at his knees, which are also covered in wounds. After the fall, this behavior annoys the hero, so he nervously asks what she is doing. Yutang is going to give him some medicine, because otherwise she will be responsible for the scars. Taking the guy by the leg, she begins to treat the wounds mentally. Noting that he has beautiful legs, Cheng also believes that the girl lied to the master, wanting to use it for your own purposes. Lin Mo is not a fool and guessed it himself, so immediately, I decided to find out the purpose of the guest's visit. The girl says that Yang Hui is wanted because of. Then she asks if she remembers what she did. The hero claims that he doesn't remember and can't remember what happened after meeting her. Yutan says it's really boring. She will climb on the window, intending to leave someone else's house. Then the emperor grabs her by the shoulder, telling her to wait. He notices that if necessary, he can act as bait and help find Yan Hui. Turning around, the blonde sees an unbuttoned t-shirt, from under which you can see the raised body of the interlocutor. It fills up with embarrassment, nervously agreeing with the guy and jumping out of the window. He is a little surprised that she agreed so easily. The next day, Lin Mo goes to school. In the classroom to him, two female classmates approach and ask if he's okay. It's hard for them. Imagine what had happened to put Yang Hui on the wanted list. One of my friends notices that Yang Hui hadn't been looking very well lately. The hero assures that everything is fine with him, then politely asks to skip it. Another girl peeks into the classroom and says, I don't know. Says there's a new hunk in their class. A classmate is immediately run away to see the new guy. The young guy in a bow tie suit, round-rimmed glasses, and green hair. He meets girls, those interested in finding out his name. His name is Shileshan, but they can just call him Leal. Then Yutan walks past him. The girls invite him to come with them, and he agrees. In fact, he transferred to this school for the sake of investigating Yang Hui's disappearance, but unexpectedly, such a beautiful woman appeared here. Leal turns around at the strange sound and sees how the blonde opens the door to the classroom with a kick, telling the fat man not to go anywhere after school. This picture gives him a silent shock. Lessons pass quickly and without incident. When he comes out of the classroom, Yutan is already waiting for him, inviting him to come with her. They enter an empty classroom. Lin Mo reports that his wound has healed, but if the girl tries again, if he takes off his pants, he'll call the police. The blonde urges the guy not to talk nonsense. She passes the diary to him, offering to look at it, noting that her relative is working. This is what he found in Yang Hui's house. The Reborn one goes deeper into reading, but already on the way home. Name in the form how to use Lin Mo. He understands that something adequate is not worth it. Expect from this thing. Chapter 21. The Emperor admits to himself that even though he saw all this through the paper figure, when he saw it, he did not see it. It's now, he's speechless. Yutang is embarrassed to notice that, according to her plan, Yang Hui wanted to keep people captive, and he's one of them. Lin Mo states that he didn't expect her to turn up. Such a pervert, so you should have arrested her sooner. The blonde also notices that Yang Hui has some kind of ability, because the whole country is looking for her, but there is no news that she is just disappeared. The dark-haired man decides to tell some of his information that he knows about the suspect. He had heard that Yan Hui had loved creepy places since she was a child, so it was possible that she was hiding in some abandoned house or graveyard where there aren't many people, and the reason why is her name. No one found it, because the face was hidden with makeup. Yutan states that the interviewee, not in a movie, but she notes to herself that what the fat man said makes sense, because Yan Hui could use a disguise technique. The girl mentally notices that the suspect could have captured so many guys to practice in a place with a large amount of yin energy. The blonde tells me that she has to come back earlier. A grin appears on the Emperor's face. When he gets home, he goes to his room. The hints worked well, so Zhao Yutan will definitely go online to find a weapon, which will lead to yin energy. With such thoughts, the hero gives a command to his subordinate. Put up for sale Xungen. Cheng quickly carried out the master's will, setting the initial price at 10,000, but a few seconds later someone put the price at 5 million. At that time, Blonde, sitting at the computer in her home, is a little surprised by the speed of price increase, up to 5 million, but she believes that all this is just a show-off, because you should not get involved with poor people. Using his paperman, Lin Mo realizes that Zhao Yutang has logged onto the network, is passing just a few seconds before his trade closes. The subordinate is amazed that I gave 10 million yuan for this little thing, because that's how many mothers you need to have in order to buy it. Get so much money. The next day, the blonde is together with the group, using a new device that sends you to search. The artifact leads them into the thicket of the forest. A woman with a horizontal scar running across his nose. He claims that this compass is the real thing. A treasure. After all, at a distance of hundreds of miles, I was able to catch yin energy. Yutan remembers that an elderly woman is a strong person invited by the team to help. She understands that it is very difficult to earn her praise, so the material really does not. Disappointing. The old lady decides to go ahead and inspect the road, ordering the other members to "We'll wait for her here." The old lady is attacked by a strange green force. She blocks the attack with her weapon, however, due to the force of the attack, Yudara pushes her away from the others. Together with the rest, she is surrounded by green fire, which is a kind of magic field. At this moment, Yutan's feet begin to move. This energy, she transforms into hands that immediately grasp her adorable pineapples. This pisses the blonde off, and in the next moment there is a huge explosion. Out of the smoke, a beautiful woman appears with a multi-shot rocket launcher on her shoulder. She jumps in air, accepting the challenge of a huge pillar of energy that took the form of a hand. There was a massive explosion in the air. Linmo, watching through a paper monitor. The little man is amazed at this method for destroying the field. It assumes that the girl made a modern weapon out of the ring. The hero admits that this is very entertaining. In the next instant, a hole appears in the wall of the house from the girl's blow. In her hands was Zixuan, who she left in the next room. The dark-haired man notices what is coming from her, an unusual aura. The emperor asks Cheng not to interfere, considering that he will decide everything himself. He suggests that the girl was hypnotized by Yang Hui and wanted to tie him up. Linmo understands that a fight is like a fire, and that's what Yang Hui takes advantage of, because she doesn't want to waste her time trying to fight. Come on your own. The girl takes a fighting stance, intending to hit the guy. The emperor quickly deduces that the yin energy that Zhao Yutang has found is only a matter of time. A decoy, and Yan Hui herself is hiding somewhere else. Reborn takes a girl's punch, falling to the floor. He pretends to pass out, even though he would have if he hadn't. He used spiritual energy to protect himself. He wants this representative of the beautiful. Paula tied him up and took him to Yan Hui's hideout. And so it happens. Beauty grabs two guys. He ties them up, puts bags over their heads, and throws them into the van. After some time, the hero, it turns out to be in an abandoned place. The bag is removed from his head, and he can see Yang Hui, which asks if he's surprised. The hero replies that he can't say for sure if he's surprised or not. This tone makes the girl lose her temper. She slams him into the wall, telling him that he really doesn't know what to do. Learn from mistakes. The emperor advises the girl not to approach him. Yang Hui laughs, saying that he is only a child, pretending to be so noble even though she's always messing around with Zhao Yutang and Han Zini, so he even doubts that he is still a virgin. Then the entity inside her says that Zhao Yutang has already broken the field and is on her way here, so she should get down to business and then she'll have a power that even the emperor would be at her feet. The girl turns around, stating that Daizong is waiting for her, after which she orders Lin Mo to sit here and be nice and she will come back to him after. After trying out the emperor, the dark-haired man quickly deduces that the demonic sword or the demon lord is in the girl's body, otherwise she wouldn't have said his name. After some time, Zixuan wakes up in a cage. He immediately begs not to be killed, and then he spots his cousin and asks where they are. Relatives are located in one of the many cells in some kind of underground hall with a magic circle in the center. At this time, Zhao Yutang realizes that this place is a decoy. She decides to follow in the direction that Seungin is showing. Here a strange entity appears behind the blonde's back. He asks her where she's going. A powerful burst of energy pushes the entire group back. A humanoid entity with 6 arms appears in front of them and asks them to give it to them. Chapter 22. Deer sitting between the trees, eating grass. Then a loud sound attracts him attention, and he involuntarily raises his head. His sense of danger malfunctions, and the animal, he takes off. After a few moments, the ground in that place is covered with a layer of cracks from multiple energy blades. The giant folds his 4 hands in a prayer gesture. Round blades appear from it, which she points at Yutan's group. He urges them not to run. The blonde tries to break the distance with the monster, but her back is flying. Energy blades. She doesn't pay attention to them, as if she doesn't feel any danger. Covers the old lady, saying that she will deal with him, and the girl needs to bring help. He's amazed that some granny really thinks she can beat him. He reminds them that he told them not to try to escape. The enemy uses a strange power to transform the enemy's body. His body in several flying stone slabs in a circle, in the center of which his face is created. The old lady understands that this is devouring souls, so she encourages everyone to use the aura to protect your body. One member of the group does not have time to do this. The power drains from her body. Then the soulless shell falls to the ground. The death of a comrade angers Zhao Yutan. She summons your weapon to fight the monster. A bow appears in the blonde's hands. She pulls the bowstring and aims at the enemy, wanting to smash his face. A powerful force pulse is sent to the enemy. Attack power draws out the image. Entities are sent back, but no significant damage is done to the monster. That one even. He scoffs, asking if that's all. The old lady notes that almost half of them are exhausted, so this is not enough to harm Tom at all. At this time, the entity is gaining more. Air enters the lungs, then spits out a strange smoke on them. The deceased comrade raises his hands to the floor, legs turning into a zombie that immediately attacks Zhao Yutang. Bow in the hands of a blonde disappears, turning into a sword. With a quick and confident movement, she cuts through the rebel's flesh. A friend. The girl is attacked by other team members who have turned her into a zombie. The old lady reports that it will help her resist the poison gas, so she should get rid of it as quickly as possible. This horror, she stresses that these people are infected, so they are no longer their allies. Zhao Yutan moves quickly between two zombies, killing one of them. Quickly, turning around, he raises his weapon over his head, intending to finish off the second enemy, but then the zombie addresses her in a completely human voice, calling her Mrs. Zhao. Blonde stops the weapon a few centimeters from the throat of the turned comrade, ranging from this behavior. Zombies take advantage of this, without a drop of doubt strike at the girl. Deep, the wound in his side didn't stop Zhao Yutang. She tightens her grip on the weapon. With two quick swings, it destroys the enemy. It stops. Blood is spurting from her side, and her strength leaves her with incredible force. She falls first to her knees, and then completely. He rolls over on his side. The weapon disappears from her hands. She coughs up blood, still holding onto the door. The wound. She notices that she is still ashamed of her blood. Her gaze starts to get bigger, more empty. She is about to lose consciousness, but before she does, she realizes that there are only a few people left. Her and Lao Lo. She admits to herself that if she had known earlier, she wouldn't have brought so much people. The old lady breaks into a scream when she sees Zhao Yutang's condition. Protecting an elderly woman makes you angry. The entity, after all, dares to interfere with the plans, so he even becomes interested to see how long will it last. The protective energy dome that the old lady put up starts to work. Gradually crack. One of the zombies is going to finish off the blonde. The other one doesn't want to drag Lao Luo down with her. The next moment, a few drops of blood fall to the ground, and the knife plunges into several of them, inches into the ground from Zhao Yutang's head. The monster's head, along with the attacking arm, was demolished. A young and beautiful girl with red hair enters the battle, who says that, "I felt my strength waning and ran to her aid." Hands on hips, the stranger declares that she is not too late. This is team leader Zhao Honglin. The second zombie is also beheaded, and the blonde recognizes the girl as her grandmother. At that time, the old lady also notices Honglin Xingjun's appearance. At this point, the protective barrier falls, and the power of the entity is directed towards her. The enemy laughs, saying that it is so noble to dare to save them, and then die. Honglin points his fingers at the enemy, a little surprised that the thing isn't dead yet. Enemy. However, he provokes her, claiming that no one in the whole world will be able to fight with a sword, because the Emperor is coming today. As the other party spoke, a sword flew out from Honglin's fingers, which was connected to the other party's body. With amazing ease, it pierces the enemy, causing them to turn to dust. Zhao Yutan suggests it was a soul. The grandmother leans over her granddaughter, realizing that she is very strong. Got hurt. She's also glad that her bowels haven't fallen out yet. Honglin passes it to her. Medicine. The blonde accepts it, asking her grandmother to help with the search for her classmate, which is the enemy's target. Honglin notices that she understands. After that, Zhao Yutan loses consciousness, and the girl turns to Old Lo. She decides to find out where the guy Zhao Yutan was talking about is. The interviewee tells us that this guy must be in a very dark place, so the suman that you carried with her. Tanis, I must help them. Honglin assures that this is not necessary. Her huge cock lands in the ground, the sword, and she adds that she will get it herself. The girl pulls the weapon out of the ground, after which he sits on it, ordering Zhao Yutan to be taken to the headquarters to be treated, and she herself. He would go to this dark place to find out. At this time, Lin Mo is sitting in a cage, watching the Yanghui, who is sitting in a meditation position in the center of the magic circle. Cheng gets interested. What does it do? The emperor explains that the price of cultivating Yanghui is aging. She will age every time after absorbing the power. The subordinate notices that the girl I really started to look older. Suddenly, Yanghui has a premonition of something. Yanghui gets up from his seat, asking who's here. When no response was received, he goes to the door and opens it. A little girl with red hair stands in the doorway. Yanghui assumes that the child is lost. Honglin informs her that the little wand is already there. It's flying. These words cause only a silent question from the girl, what the child is talking about. At this time, Cheng decides to find out if it's okay to knock Zixuan out right after he wakes up. Emperor gives a positive answer, adding that the cousin is a tough nut to crack. In the next instant, the software, a loud sound from creating a gap in the ceiling radiates to the room. A huge plane arrives in Yanghui, a sword, piercing it and driving it into the wall. Honglin notices that this is just the beginning, and the girl is all ready. She cries, after which she sits down on the sword, specifying what the opponent will do. The red-haired one encourages you to at least try. At this moment, the veins on Yanhui's arm become visible to the eye. She expresses her hatred towards everything and pulls out a sword. Falling to the floor, she throws the weapon back at the girl. When she lands, she tries to figure out what's going on. This is for a brat. Honglin turns to the hilt of the stuck sword, asking if this is the end. Yanghui mentally appeals to Senior Ju Yu, telling her that she doesn't know what to do, because she doesn't know what to do. This girl's equal. Events are moved back a day. The brunette that the emperor plays with every day in shogi, he sits opposite a girl with horns on her head. They are very similar in appearance, but her opponent is obviously a demon. They continue the game. She notices to herself that after playing so many rounds, she still hasn't been able to find a way break it, which is very interesting. Then she feels a surge of energy, realizing that this is very important. Strong magic sword energy. In some barn outside of town, a dark entity is trying to devour a young boy begging to be released. The guy tries to put pressure on the entity with his status because he is a member of the Tanmo sect, but the entity does not know such. However, regardless of which one, he's a brat. He thinks destroying their sect will be a piece of cake. Young man mentally asks Aura to save and help him. The next moment, the door to the room opens abruptly. Powerful energy flow fills in the environment. A girl enters the room. The entity learns the energy of its owner. The brunette puts her foot on him, urging him not to go crazy. After that, she decides to clarify. The situation is whether he has teamed up with Yanghui. The essence gives a positive answer. Baldia from the legs is mistress. At this point, the guy asks for help. He is the son of the head of Tanmo and Goth. Serve her. The guy says that the Tanmo sect are demon cultivators, and their strength is not inferior to Fengzu. At this point, the girl sits on her long-time subordinate, stating that she does not need people, only dogs. In response to this, the entity barks. The demon lord laughs, asking me to leave. Take the boy to her chambers, because he can become her dog. Guy thanking his mistress for mercy, whereupon she adds that from now on the servant's house will be hers. With these words, he loses consciousness. The entity tries to wake him up because he is talking to the owner. Girl, however, she notes that she took too much strength from Yuan Yang, which caused him to pass out. She asks for, tell your subordinate about your plan. He uses Yanghui to restore his strength, and the forest and the smell here are just traps, so that they won't get here with a search. Entity. He tells her that he and Yanghui are hiding in an abandoned factory, and with the current progress, he will be able to recover in 10 days. Vladika approves the plan, asking if Yanghui is still there, completely under his control. The subordinate points out that Yanghui is too naive, so she has to be careful. It's easy to get them to do anything using Lin Mo. The girl says that from the dog's mouth is not. It is worth waiting for the ivory. She assumes that Yanghui will do something dirty to the guy, so she orders the servant to do whatever it takes to prevent this from happening. After that, she notices that she hasn't finished playing the party, and it can't be left that simple. So, she leaves. The dog accepts the order of the superiors, hoping that its fragments will be collected as usual. As quickly as possible, it's getting worse and worse. The demon lord summons a subordinate not to hurry up, because Daizong also came to this world. These words surprise me. The girl, realizing that the memories between the fragments are not connected, notices that he doesn't know it yet. However, recently she sensed a sword fragment near the farm. She wanted to approach, but it was completely different, destroyed by someone else's energy. Such an incredibly powerful aura. Only Daizong can possess it. The task of the shard was to use Yang Hui as bait and lure the emperor to deal with him. The entity calls the girl. Kill that brat. Yang Hui says that she's never even fought, and she doesn't know how to do anything. In that, a moment later, Honglin soars to the ceiling, concentrating his energy and summoning several dozen people. Magic swords. They fly towards Yanhui, who doesn't know what to do. Then the sword shard orders you to give him control of your body. The girl does just that. The entity that has taken over the beauty's body declares that all this is a waste. There is no time to delay. She fights off some of the weapons flying at her, after which he takes off toward Honglin, who is floating in the air. In the hands of the girl appear blades of green, the energy she uses to fend off her opponent's attacks. At a certain point, it intercepts one of the swords flying at it, then grabs it by the handle and, having imbued it with its energy, sends it flying. To the hostess, the weapon crashes into the barrier protecting Honglin. The entity is also preparing more gifts, squeezing energy with both hands. The girl takes the form of a huge blue snake. Honglin notes that this is enough. Old tricks, and she's sorry that they're actually much weaker than the ones in the books. Realizing that the enemy can do nothing else, and that the madness of the enemy only plays into her hands, she is afraid. For the first time, she takes hold of the hilt of her sword, saying that pair flowers that cry all the time. They call for rain. The snake concentrates its energy in its mouth, and the little girl uses 2 precise fingers. Blows make the monster shoot at the ceiling, not at her. After that, the snake disappears, and the demon lord appears through a hole in the ceiling, watching the battle. Chapter 24. Yanhui let out a loud cry. Purple energy began to shoot out from her eyes and ears, forming a huge circle around her. There was an image of a broken sword that was frozen in place. Red-haired a bit. I was glad that the enemy finally got out, but she admits that she did not expect so many people to appear. Trouble from a broken sword. At this moment, Honglin is assaulted by a powerful pressure in the form of an aura. A voice from above notes that only the owner can beat his dog. Girl, the power of this energy is amazing. There are beads of sweat on her face and fear in her eyes. Honglin notices the ghosts of the underworld flying around her. She's trying to calm me down. Take a deep breath and collect your thoughts. A girl can't let them dominate her. She turns around in the direction of a new enemy. The demon lord notices how scary this is. For one thing, for a moment, she is beside her sword, realizing that the sword is very badly broken. So, no wonder it was so hard to find. Honglin turns around, daring to attack the opponent. She uses Taoism, 8 satin ribbons. Energy waves erupt from the floor, pink-colored ribbons that surround the opponent before they completely shackle. As she moves, the demon lord casts a very telling glance at the red-haired person, which doesn't bode well. The demon is turned into a mummy, and at the ends of the ribbons, there are sharp pins that stick into the floor. Beads of sweat are dripping down Honglin's face. She realizes that in such a situation, all that remains is to surround her from all sides. The girl calls on the petals that appeared in the air from her power to surround the opponent from all sides. A pink ball appears around the mummy, which opens after a few moments, turning into a beautiful flower with petals. Honglin doesn't stop saying that the seal, Heavenly Lotus, fears heaven. She asks helpers to destroy the evil in this army, because once the light appears, the ghosts will be banished. The girl puts her palms together at the same level. Hearts, parallel to it, the torso of a huge majestic creature appears, which performs the same action, closing the closed flower bud with his own hands. Doesn't pass, and seconds later, cracks spread across the entity's arms. Honglin can't believe his eyes. A powerful burst of energy destroys her powerful seal. A cloud of smoke and dust rose, and a woman's figure appeared in the red sky, shining, saying that she had heard from her dog that Zhao Honglin was the strongest in the world. The Phoenix Group, and no one will be able to defeat it. The demon lord considers these words to be erroneous, noticing that it's over. Honglin is not ready to accept defeat, but is going to continue the battle. The opponent is next to her in an instant. A wound appears on the baby's side, which causes her to fall to the floor. The girl repeats her words that this is the end. Soul Sword apologizes to his mistress, saying that Yang Hui's body was too weak due to which she can't even use 10% of her power. The demon lord emphasizes that it is better for the dog to try to make the emperor deign to appear. Honglin, he stretches out his hand towards his sword, which is stuck in the ground a few meters away. She is not. He wants to die. The red-haired little girl's sword takes off, heading towards the relaxed one. To the opponent, the girl at this time notices that after so many years, the Emperor should have. Notice, however, if he understood why he hadn't shown up yet. The Demon Lord is trying to understand why the Emperor still hasn't shown up. She turns around, anticipating danger, and with one of her fingers moves away. With a swing of his broken sword, he cuts open the huge sword flying at her. It saddens her that little Zhao Hongling was just a piece of trash that couldn't compete with her. Vladika Demonov starts blatantly provoking the Emperor, asking if he's had enough drama or not. As soon as he came here, he became a sissy like all the men in this world. Vladika claims that he is not the strongest person in the world, and he is worthy of it to rule with such insignificant forces. When the Emperor does not appear after these words, she emphasizes that this is disgusting. The girl says that she will start with Honglin, and then all those who trapped in that world. She would kill them all if he didn't show up and stop her. The Demon Lord starts counting down. Cheng puts his hands over his mouth, trying not to give himself and his master away. Lin Mo gets to his feet, and the girl starts counting. A drop of water from the ceiling falls on Zixuan's face as he regains consciousness. The girl says that 2 seconds had passed. My cousin begs me not to do it and not to kill him. Everyone translates to it. Stunned looks, but a sinister grin appears on the girl's face. It's coming down from the sky, a powerful beam of red dark energy after it completes the countdown. The Demon Lord. He appears on the surface, covering his face with his hand and trying to see what is happening in the fire. When the dust and smoke are gone, she sees the Emperor looking at her condescendingly, his hands folded in front of him. Print concentration with one hand. She claims that she knew he was alive. They release their own auras, preparing for a fight. Chapter 25. At this moment in the city, on one of the roofs of houses, a hand falls on the shoulder of a man. Male with. The camera reminds the reporter that they are on the air. The latter tells us that now they are located in Shenian City, Hongxi District, and what just happened here in an abandoned factory. A huge beam of light appeared. The man notes that the street is only 10 degrees, but next to this beam is very hot, and its light illuminates the entire area on this rainy day. After that, it will. He snatches the phone out of the hands of a colleague, wanting to show them everything on his own. The reporter points to a beam from the sky, indicating that a hole has formed in the clouds. He assumes that it is a beam from a satellite. He has another guess, but then he notices that there's something in the sky. At this point, the broadcast is interrupted. Yunshu, for watching this live stream, annoyingly notices that the air is suspended at such an intriguing moment. At this moment, the indignant voice of one of the parents comes from the next room. He scolds the girl for staring at her phone for a long time and then asking if she's finished. She has homework for the weekend. Sung says that she's already done everything, and then she gets up from the bed. Your place. Remembering what the broadcast said about the Hongxi area, she understands what it is. It's far enough away from here, but Lin Mo's house is somewhere out there. The girl notices that she does not have any peace in life, because first they announced he, Yang Hui wanted, and then this ray of light. All my classmates have already sent me photos of him, right? That it's definitely not a fake. At this point, she goes to the door and grabs the handle, but the door does not open. Just blows away a whirlwind in the form of an emperor fighting a demon lord. They fly by, past the girl without even noticing. Yunshu didn't even understand what had happened. In her hands there was a piece of the door together with the handle, and in the house, 2 huge holes appeared. At this moment, the demon lord is together with the emperor. They end up in the air. She notices that without her sword, he is simply insignificant and good for nothing. Only for the role of a punching bag. He makes a cut with his weapon, trying to injure Reborn. The hero is driven into the surface of the earth, causing a powerful shock wave. The girl uses free time, concentrating a ball of energy in your hands, saying that only madness and anger, only desire and lust, only the heart and only her. A powerful stream of energy shoots out into the sky. The latter, as if obeying the will of the demon lord, begin to swirl in a whirlwind around this energy. However, this is not some kind of attack. In the dark sky, 2 scarlet eyes open, exuding only light. The desire to kill, and then a huge dragon appears. An ancient monster opens its mouth, concentrating an indecent amount of energy in its own. Then it releases a powerful beam of energy into the place where it is supposed to be. The emperor after the fall. A powerful explosion and a wave of fire causes ordinary people to panic. Run away from the battleground of 2 celestials. The demon lord is watching you closely. What's happening? It seems to her that the opponent did not dodge the blow. After a few moments on her, A grin appears on his face. The hero does not understand why children from rich families behave like this. He notices what they say. The demon lord of that generation was extremely cruel and killed everyone indiscriminately, causing harm to ordinary people. However, the current generation of Mozong's heirs is even more cruel than before. Their father's generation. The emperor admits that at first he didn't even believe it until he noticed disagreements between themselves of this and past life. He notices that the father and daughter are the same. This angers his opponent, who demands that he not dare to talk about her father. She reminds me that he's just an outsider, so he has no right to get involved. She takes control of the dragon, which is already ready to repeat its attack. The ancient creature releases several small balls from its mouths, starting a bombardment. The whole district. She states that she can't kill everyone in a row, but if the enemy dies, then these people will die. Humans can live, so the demon lord calls on the emperor to kneel down and beg her. Kill him for the sake of mortals. She knows perfectly well that he won't do it, because let him talk. That he does everything for the sake of mortals is really hypocritical, for he does everything for the sake of myself. With that, the dragon opens its mouth, concentrating more energy and releasing it into the air in the form of a beam, creating a whole series of explosions. The demon lord becomes interested in what the enemy will do already, because his shield is broken. The emperor's 2 fingers are covered in glowing energy. Then the girl's eyes widen in surprise, understanding because it's a sword. The weapon returns to the owner, simultaneously killing the dragon in the sky. Linmo notes that he finally got his really good sword. The opponent, she says that when she wasn't looking, he glued a paper man to her and then used it on her. A shield to stall for time and intentionally make her show her flaws when the weapon it should appear. She pulls the sword towards her, realizing that all the emperors of his dynasty are like that. The demon lord sends an arc of energy towards the opponent with a vertical swing, saying that in his situation, even a piece of scrap metal can be useful to him. The emperor is the same. Covers your weapon with fire, then swipes it in a circle around you, blocking the attack. Opponents with the help of the sacred law alchemy of heavenly fire. The demon lord, he smiles, saying that he always gives out something new. They collide in a deadly dance. Neither is inferior to the other. They are like 2 flashes flash across the sky. At a certain point, the demon lord injures him by hitting him. The collarbone. The hero mentally notes that he finally got there, even though he was slower than I expected. The girl doesn't stop her attack. 4 fast ones at once. The attacks are intended to pierce Linmo's body, but he just disappears into space. Shadows. Then she realizes that she has destroyed the paper figure clone. It quickly dawns on her that the emperor switched places with him after she injured him. At this point, too, the fighter planes start firing at the demon lord. She laughs, putting up a protective shield. The girl realizes that this was part of the plans of her enemy. She understands what he's decided. Use the weapons of this world, because he does not have the aura to use such a thing. Power. The demon lord sends a retaliatory attack to the attacking humans in the form of an energy shield. Splash screen. The girl's attack flies past 2 fighter jets. One of them fires a missile at the target. The demon lord claims that this attack is too slow. She easily dodges it. However, the missile turns out to be homing. It turns around and returns to the target. The girl obviously did not expect something like this, noticing the returned object very late. A powerful sound from the explosion spreads around the area. A pile of smoke rises in the air. Fighters are the same. They fix the target, which is why they send even more missiles in its direction. The emperor is watching. Watch what is happening from the outside. Everything is going according to his plan, but he understands that even the most powerful army will only be able to hold off his nemesis for 1 minute. Linmo doesn't waste any time. He knows that without the holy sword, it doesn't matter how long it is. However, he will not be her opponent, so if he wants to win, then he needs to find a weapon equal in power to his sword. The forging was just completed, and now the most important part remains. It appeals to someone to deal with it. Chapter 26. The fighters are running out of shells, so they're going to head back to base for the next round. Rearmament. In the center of the city there is a huge crater, from which it constantly falls. Black smoke. Suddenly, a long arm bursts out of the ground and grabs one of the soldiers. Planes. The pilot begs the entity to back off and get out, but it doesn't. A huge hand throws one fighter jet at another, causing a massive explosion. After that, out of the ground, a huge thing with a series of sharp teeth and a long tongue bursts out. It moves on. 4 limbs. The creature has no eyes or hair. The demon lord left in the sky warns that anyone who intervenes in this war will die. She'll just make them disappear. The sword soul noticed that this locust beast was moving towards the aura cluster, so it would catch up. The Emperor, which is why the winner is already known. The subordinate notices that the Emperor is right. He's up to something, so the hostess has to find him, and the sooner the better. At this point, the last one rushes down. Among the ruins of houses stands a boy about 6 years old, who cries and calls, "Help Daddy," because he's scared. At this moment, the creature's huge hand is about to kill a kid who closes his eyes, believing to the very end that his dad will save him. Looking at this picture, the girl involuntarily closes her eyes, remembering her childhood, in which she had no children. She had something similar. At this time on the bridge at the exit from the city formed a huge stopper. Someone is trying to call a loved one, trying to find out where they are. But there is no signal, which is why the connection is cut off. The person swears, noting that therefore it is impossible. Fooling around in the streets. It turns out to be Song Yunchu's family. The girl's father asks if she listens to the news. Ta gives negative response, emphasizing that there is no signal. Then the man turns on the radio too. By car, it reports the latest news. A monster in the city center has suddenly disappeared. The father swears, because to all the troubles on the streets it started raining, which extinguishes the signal from the TV station. Yunchu then says with fear in her voice that she doesn't think it should rain. And really a huge water tornado forms in the center of the lake, which gives the impression that it's raining. People, as if not feeling the danger, shoot this unthinkable event on camera. The Emperor is the same, stands at the center of this natural phenomenon, strengthening his sword. It calls for all kinds of waves. Devour the sky. An unusual power is being concentrated in his fist. A ball of blue energy is formed, and the vortex abruptly stops. Huge wave flow. It returns to the bay, creating a powerful wave that drowns cars on the bridge. Sun Yunchu. She leaves the vehicle, even though her father asks her to come back, because this is really crazy. The girl does not understand how this is possible, because the whole river seems to have overflowed its banks for no reason. And then it dried up completely. A huge amount of steam obscures the view of all people, but from a bird's eye view you can see that there are only small pieces of water left from the river, which look pathetic against the background of what it is. There was a river. At this time, Lin Mo walks over to his new weapon and grabs it by the hilt, causing a powerful shock wave. The hero takes to the sky with his new weapon in his hands. He examines it carefully. Neighborhood. The Demon Lord, being at a respectful distance, notices that this was a very strange event. Expected, but she won't be waiting for him anymore. The girl decided to save that boy, which reminded her of the past. As soon as she finds his father, she lets him go. The boy. The child runs to his father, who embraces him with tears in his eyes. She's asking for it. Pick up the kids and get away from here, because it's dangerous here. The Demon Lord says it's not her style to be tired, so she wants to hurry up. Get it over with. She concentrates all her energy, bringing the broken sword behind her back and noting that it's just like in a previous life. The hero accepts this challenge. Behind the girl, the energy takes on the face of a frightening demon with sharp features. Having set foot on the path of the devil, I began to fall into loneliness. Behind the Emperor's back, the force takes the form of a deity with very smooth facial features. It encloses heaven and earth together to place everything at the tip of the sword. Opponents are attacking each other with some of their strongest attacks. No one is going to lose. The Demon Lord. He wants to kill the enemy, and the enemy wants to break the Kaienku demon. Two energies collide, starting a confrontation. The girl claims that she waited a very long time. Right now, the Emperor has a sword, so if he loses to her again, he won't be able to win. There will be no excuses. The hero reads the spell on the ancient road where the stars fall. The cold light sacrifices itself to the frosty sky on the body of the Emperor diverge. Strange symbols. His new sword turns into shards, and the opponent realizes what it is. That forbidden sword art. The girl quickly comes to the conclusion that she has fallen for this hook again. A stream comes out of her sword. However, the huge golden dragon suppresses its power, opening its impressive mouth. The Demon Lord feels sorry that she couldn't handle this sword because she doesn't have the strength to resist. In the next instant, a powerful stream of golden energy blows it away, creating a huge explosion. An incredible shock wave. A strange blue crack appears in the sky. It gradually opens up, showing a view of distant space. The Demon Lord is lying in ruins, bleeding to death. She sees that the sky has cracked, starting to pull in the rubble of buildings. The hero lands next to the opponent, declaring that the winner is determined. The girl is the same. He claims that all this is nonsense, and this is just the beginning. After that, she emphasizes that what he was like, so it remained. At this moment, the other half of the sword appears behind the Emperor's back. The demon lord couldn't believe her eyes. After all, she had worked so hard to find the fragments, and he had so many of them. The hero also calls not to fool the opponent, claiming that she will know everything after the merger. The demon lord notices that even swords are endowed with such qualities. Her injuries would heal later, but after that blow, they lost their spiritual energy. So she now has half as much energy as he does. She is ready to admit that the victories in such a case are, there really isn't going to be a chance for her to win, so it looks like the winner is really known. At this moment, the girl's weapon pierces her in the area of the heart. She understands that when he reaches the bottom, he's still paired with her. The sword wants to kill them both. Chapter 27. The demonic sword essence decided to start with Mo Zong. The weapon rises to a height of, about to finally finish off the demon lord. However, the sword plunges into the roof. The emperor saves his nemesis. The soul of the sword notices that heroism will save beauty. The demon lord demands that the guy let her go, because it's better to be killed by him than saved by the enemy. The hero asks you not to waste your energy on empty chatter. He has a plan, but he needs his help. However, after everything was over, she had to promise him something. The demon lord notices that it's better to wait until he's finished. The demonic sword takes on its true form. I don't know what they're talking about. He is also interested in listening. She's attacking. With a clawed hand, a couple of them are killed. But the emperor gathers his strength, summoning the demon Wang Zhang. The hero summons the enemy to perish in the prison of light. The demon's flesh is pierced several times. Thick energy blades. He loses control of his body, not understanding how this can happen. Perhaps, the emperor notes that this trap is easy to unlock with the power of Yuan Yang. However, he does not know what to do. Just a sword that can't get that power, and to adapt to this world, a sword can't get that power. I had to cut off a part of myself. The essence of the sword gets angry at these words, calling it nonsense. She breaks the shackles that bind her. The enemy doesn't believe that Ling Mo still thinks of himself as a great emperor, and such an insignificant thing. The creature doesn't dare talk to him like that. The essence of the sword raises its fist to strike, but does not. Understanding why he was so calm, with his frail aura and the immobilized demon on his back. Hands. The monster taunts for a few more moments before summoning the emperor to burn. In hell, the hero snaps his fingers and an unexpected attack arrives in the enemy's side, which surprises him. The enemy can't realize where the attack came from. Reborn explains that all the fragments were collected by him, which means that part of him is still in him. The fragment he took from the farm turned into a decoy. The emperor thought that he would be the last trump card, but he didn't expect it. What will be useful in this way? At this point, the essence of the sword is revealed to be immobilized. She asks not to do this and to return her Yunyang power. The hero also asks the lord. The demons help him. The girl stretches out her hand, concentrating her strength in the palm of her hand. The enemy screams and begs for forgiveness, but the demon lord calmly and unhesitatingly devours all the power of the demon king. Its power, the sword returns to its normal form, realizing that the case smells fried. By its name, cracks radiate from the base. The girl thought so. Even if Yunyang's strength was fused, it's still in his body. She calls on the subordinate to eat it all, so that pay your bills. Her wounds heal and she gets back on her feet. At this moment, the tongue of the huge monster from the space-time hole grabs the sword, who asks the lord for help. The girl declares that he will have fun with the beast of chaos after. Instead, she turns to the emperor, realizing that everything is going according to his plan, and asking which one. Next step.